into Life is a Sacred Journey. Every week, we bring a new perspective to aging and caregiving. Here is your host, Micheal Pope.
So good morning, good afternoon, and good evening from Life is a Sacred Journey. My name is Micheal Pope, and I am the host of Life is a Sacred Journey. And you have joined us on Friday at 8 a.m. in the sunny state of California, which is not so sunny at the moment, but is threatening to be up to 108 and 110 throughout the weekend. So welcome to Life is a Sacred Journey. Get your coffee, get your tea, get your glass of water or orange juice, whatever, mimosa, if you've started your Labor Day weekend already. And hit the share button. Hit the share button and let us know that you're there, as well as start talking to each other and sharing with each other. This is a beautiful, beautiful morning for me. I am only let me count. Not that many days away from actually going to Belgium. And I just heard this morning that the airline that I'm flying on and the pilots are in Munich, where I will be going first. They're all not wanting to work and picketing and stuff. So I need good wishes, prayers, and meditations around the 14th of September that they will not be doing that, so that when I arrive in Munich that I can get on that next flight and make it all the way to Brussels. So keep me in your thoughts and prayers over it'll be the 14th through the 15th that I will be traveling, because it takes about 13 hours to get there. And then on the 21st, I will be coming back. I'm not as concerned if it delays coming back, but getting there is really important. I need to be there on time. So good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to Life is a Sacred Journey. I wanted to first of all share an experience with you. It's been a while since we've had our Ponderings, and there's been a lot going on in my life, and I recently got COVID. Some of you who are really close to me on a personal level know that. I didn't say very much about it on Facebook until I was negative, and then I shared that. But I had that thing called long COVID. It started, and what I think I've been thinking back to how I got it, because I've been wearing a mask, I've been using hand sanitizer, I spray my mask with this silver stuff, and then I spray my throat with the silver. So I was really being careful. And what I realized is I changed the mask that I was wearing. I was wearing a mask that had like an air filter thing on the outside, and not realizing that it actually was bringing air in from the outside. It said when I purchased it that it wasn't doing that, but it ended up being that it was doing that. So I went back to K95 disposables. I do spray it. I spray the inside like this with silver before I wear it and put it on, and then I spray my throat a couple of times. And silver is a cellular. It's cellular silver. It has a yucky taste in the beginning. And it's really something that kills bacteria and viruses. I used it for the fungus that I got under my toes. I mean, it's expensive for this size bottle, in my opinion. But at the end of the day, 6 squirts in the morning, that's lipstick, 6 squirts in the evening, ACS silver, you can get it online. And I have found it's a powerful immune boost. It optimizes immune function. Everything about COVID is about the immune system and all that kind of thing. So I'm just sharing that with you again. They do not pay me to endorse them. I am just sharing with you the things that I use. If this is not For you, we always say, you make choices. So you make the proper choice for you. I'm just sharing with you what I have done. What I want to tell you, though, I want to share with you the isolating experience of COVID, and then we'll go into some other things. But I found COVID to be very isolating, being at home for almost 15 days. I found it to be very expensive because I ordered my meals in every day, right? I ordered meals in. I finally did some groceries online and had that delivered. Very isolating, but I also found it that people automatically assume that I could be on Zoom or that I could be a part of meetings and things, that I just was so sick that it was really difficult for me to do that. And some people said to me, "Oh, well, go and get this other shot. They have a shot that helps you with the symptoms and all of that." And when I said that I didn't do that, I could see this look on their face, like, why didn't you? Your symptoms would have gone away easier, quicker, all of that. And that got me thinking about personal choice, and had me thinking about how sometimes when people make personal choices, we who observe those personal choices have an opinion about it. And then that gets in our mindset and we begin to think things about that individual that we really don't have the right to. I chose not to do that because I am really one of those pharmaceutical people that wants to be pharmaceutical free. I try not to take, and I don't take any over-the-counter drugs whatsoever. I don't even take ibuprofen or aspirin or any of that. I suffer through my pain, or I use holistic ways of dealing with pain. That doesn't mean that I mean for everybody in the world to do that. I, as a young person, dealt with addiction. And so as I grew out of that and moved forward into a time of loving myself and reinventing and reloving and becoming, I made the conscious decision that I wasn't going to do that. I wasn't going to take things and yes, did I get the COVID vaccine? Absolutely. Did I get the second? Yes. Did I get the booster? Yes. Am I going to get this next booster? Yes. But at the end of the day, I have made the decision to be a little bit more holistic than that. Do I take a massive amount of vitamins and do all? Yes, and yes, and yes. So we make our own care plan for the ways that we live. I smoked, my addiction was cigarettes, and it was bad. I mean, I smoked about 3, 4, 5 packs of cigarettes a week, and it was woke up to a cigarette, went to bed with a cigarette. Every time I drank coffee, this is my addiction now. I had a cigarette. So it was one, expensive, but it was also, I'm an asthmatic and I should never have been smoking. So the choices I have made health-wise are things that come out of an experience of being addicted to tobacco in a way that it took me a long time to quit smoking. I thank my children, and it was interesting, and I'll move back to the other topic, but it was interesting. I could always quit when I was pregnant, but the minute I gave birth and stopped nursing and all that, the desire for that cigarette would come back and I would, begin smoking again. I have now not had a cigarette, I think, let me see, probably in about 20 years, maybe thereabouts, maybe one in between there, because I was smoking. I got smoking again in a stress mode. I started picking up smoking cigarettes again. So again, we all have stuff that happens in our lives that change the trajectory of how we live our lives. And so that addiction helped me to move into a place where for me and for only me, I also I do the intermittent fasting. And again, that's better for me than being on a diet. I don't do diets. Diets don't work anyway for me. But intermittent fasting does. And I've been very happy with the results of it. So all these things that we put in our little grab bag or just there for our own personal plan, mind, body, and spirit plan. We share it with other people a lot. We share what we do, and that's only to help you. If there's anything, any synergy or anything that you think that you might want to do that might help you, but choose your own plan that fits you, and then embrace it, and then share with us your everyday plan and how that's working for you. So welcome again to Life is a Sacred Journey, and as always, it is my honor to be with you. I want to talk a little bit about the COVID-19 booster, just as I heard on the news, NPR this morning. I listened to NPR as I'm getting dressed in the morning, and the new booster, it will be available, I think they said this weekend, next week. And if you go on the CDC website, they have a wonderful website, and it's I'm gonna put it as close as I can. Stay up to date on the COVID-19, including the boosters. And if you go down to here, there is they have different recommendations for it. And so go to the CDC website and really take a look. I say to you always, and I'm going to always say to you, go to the CDC website. Even if I say something, I don't care who says it, go to the CDC website and see what their knowledge, wisdom, and information is before you make any decisions about your healthcare, particularly as it relates to these boosters. I have friends that will not get vaccinated, that are not boosted, and that is their personal choice. And I love them, and I wear a mask when I'm around them, and they wear a mask when they're around me, so that we can keep each other safe. But this last bout of this, I just 3 years, and whatever it is, and I just got it. But I want to talk about the depression that I went into while I was home. It was very depressing to be at home, because not meaning to be at home, I found activities to do. I redid all the wooden furniture out in my backyard. I redid all that. But the depressing part was not having the freedom to come and go as I please. My life is so full. I come and go and do a lot of things, and that was halted to a place where not even anybody could come to me. And that made it very, very difficult. So I started reading. Well, that got boring. I mean, got boring. I don't watch television. I don't even have television coming into my house. I do stream, Hulu and what is it called? Amazon Prime and one other, Netflix. But after a while, that was getting boring too. I watched all the documentaries. I watched everything. I watched a few horror movies, because anybody who knows me, I love horror movies. But at the end of the day, that got boring, and I got tired of sitting doing that. I wanted to go for a walk, but my breathing was compromised. Nancy checked in on me every day. Sandy, other people checked in. But again, it's very isolating to have COVID. And then, every other day testing to see where I was I getting better? Was I not getting better? And then feeling better. And then in the middle of the night, having fever again and waking up with the bed drenched and quite frankly, just feeling awful. And the amount of money that I spent on making sure that I ate, and thank you to DoorDash, and thank you to Urban Plate. Great food. I was able to get great food, but it cost me. I mean, I spent hundreds of dollars in that 15-day period on nutrition. What I began to realize is how blessed I am that I could afford to do that One, because I have a credit card, and other people who are living out in this world. And I'm not a wealthy person at all. I mean, I get by, and I am blessed. I have a job, I work. But as a lot of people are, I'm only a couple of paychecks away from poverty. But what I realize is I at least had the ability to do all these things, make sure I ate. I have a washing machine and dryer, so I was able to wash my sheets and put fresh sheets on my bed. I have a bed that is very, very comfortable. I had the streaming, I had my laptop so I could write and do different things. And I began to realize that COVID is also, a social economic disease, because if you don't have those kind of resources, the suffering of not only physically but the mental and all the other things are so there. I mean, to be able to order lemonade and to get online and do my grocery shopping and have it delivered was an amazing thing, something that I never do. It's the first time I've ever done it. So I think that we need to think about COVID, not just from the diagnosis and the symptoms and that, but from the conditioning the condition that it puts you in if you have to isolate for any period of time. And 15 days is a long time. It's a very long time. I know, one of my dear friends, her sister had it for almost 17 days and then bounced back. I also want to speak to the disregard of some people. We have a policy here at Alzheimer's Services of the East Bay. If you get COVID or you travel or you go to a party with a bunch of people, that you have to kind of stay away from us for 3 days and test to make sure. And it is amazing to me how many people get offended by that or don't follow that, not just here, but other places that I've heard of. And I don't understand that. I just don't think that that is something that is debatable. I think it's a human, like, in order to protect the other human beings. But it is amazing to me how many people think that that is A-okay. I have not known one person that has traveled or gone somewhere where they were around a whole new group of people that initially did not get COVID and feel sick. So it's and because we're in an environment where we have seniors around us, we have to really be very, very careful. But I know we're COVID fatigued. I'm COVID fatigued. But I do think there's certain things that we have to do. Just like the other day, somebody said to me, "You're being ridiculous," because I have made the decision. I am keeping my social bubble closed in until after I do my trip and come back. Okay. The person said to me, "That's ridiculous, da 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 da." Well, that's a judgment. That's a judgment. You know what I feel about judgment, how I feel about judgment. I think judgment is one of the worst things that we can put on another person, and I'm guilty of it just like everybody else. But I was just like, wait a minute, I'm trying to protect myself. I'm going into an environment where there are children going to be there. I want to keep them safe. I don't want to bring anything into their home as much as I can. I don't know how I'm going to survive, but I'm going to do the best I can, 13 hours with a mask on. But at the end of the day, that is the choice that I'm making in order to participate in this function that I'm going to be a part of. And I want to do my very best to be a person that doesn't bring disease with me. So I just think we need to think bigger than just this. We stay so closed in. It's all about me. It's all about me. Well, in the world, it's not all about you. It's about you and then the collective, and whatever we do affects the collective, and so wearing a mask and all those things are very important. I want to speak to the mental health issues of COVID. I was listening to NPR, my favorite station. Thank you, KQED. And they had a mental health expert, Nancy, who is a great follower of Life is a Sacred Journey, is working on mental health curriculum right now in the Central Valley. And it's because this COVID has isolated us from each other. It's made us fight each other on whether you're wearing this or what you're doing. We're staring at each other. I go into the store and I'm, a lot of people aren't wearing masks, and the people that aren't wearing masks look at you like they're trying to figure out, are you vaccinated? Are you not? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. If that person wants to wear a mask, let them wear a mask, look them in the eye, smile with your eyes, say hello even. But let's get back to a humanity that is less divided and opinionated about the other individual. We're spending too much time in other people's business and not really taking care of our own house. So I think COVID is really bringing out the worst in some of us. So depression is real. COVID depression is real. COVID isolation is real. COVID, the disease itself, and the fact that it can bounce back, and that different symptoms, that people experience those symptoms differently. One, if they have underlying things like asthma, diabetes, high blood, everything. There are some research rather, that has shown that the young men are having a hard time with some of the vaccines and boosters as far as heart and things. So we all have to do our homework and then make a conscious decision for yourself, and then make a conscious decision for the humanity that you're going to live around, and find that intersection where community, you're a part of the bigger community and you understand that. So I wanted to share Dawn Shedrick is her name. She's an LCSW and works with the Clinical Oncology Newsletter. And she wrote an article that I found very, very interesting about COVID. And then she said, know that what you're feeling is a normal stress response. So feeling overwhelmed, tired, all of those things are normal stressor responses to what we're going through as it relates to this pandemic and all the other gobbledygook that's going on in the world. So you got the pandemic, and then you've got the war and wars in the physical wars where, Russia, Ukraine, all of that, and other spaces where war is still happening in the Middle East and all of that. You have all of these other vibrations of negativity that are coming in, and you put that all together in the pot, and it creates a stew that really hurts the psyche. And getting away is going to be so much more important to all of us. Getting away from the news, getting away from the drama, getting away from the fights, the political fights, getting away and pulling yourself away from all that negativity is way more important now than it was even before COVID. We needed to do it then, but we really need to do it now because we have added stressors and it's not going away. They're just, again, thank you, KQED. I just heard that they're looking at another wave for the winter, and that's why this booster is going to be so important, because this booster is to fight the Omicron and that B456 strain that's out there. So stressors, know that it's normal to have those moments of burnout and those moments of feeling overwhelmed and stressed. Also, it says engage in consistent self-reflection to identify the emotional and mental signs of stress. For me, insomnia is like the first thing. When I have insomnia, I know there's something going on inside of me. The whole time that I was home with COVID, I would wake up, go to sleep, wake up, go to sleep. One, it was the fever and I was fighting the fever, but I had a hard time sleeping at night. My normal pattern of sleep was completely off. I actually went for walks in the middle of the night because there was nobody out in the street. I took my little dog with me. It's not like she could have done anything, but we did go for a couple of walks at night when nobody else was around. And then I did go out in my car one night and just drive around my neighborhood. And just to get out of the house and I had a crying fit. I will tell you, I was in the shower one day and all of a sudden everything came down on me. Everything, the death of my brother, the death of Bill Russell, a good friend of our family, just everything, ASAP and things going on here. There are people in my life that I know I shouldn't trust right now. I've learned over the last 6 weeks or so that there are people in my life that are untrustworthy. And that has hurt me very deeply, very, very deeply. And they don't know, but I know. And so so everything just went, and I was in that shower and the tears just started to flow and I couldn't stop. I was hysterical in the shower. And to the point that, like I said, Daisy was sitting outside the shower, just I could see her through the shower door, just staring at me like, is she getting ready to what's going on? I felt so much better after, though. I have to tell you, after I let that water and I cried and I got out of the shower, I am a person that prays. I then prayed and just asked my God to forgive me for anything that I had done to make those situations happen, to forgive those people who I had found out that I could not trust them, even though they put themselves in a position of trust with me. I asked for guidance as it relates to some situations that I have going on here at ASAP that are making me feel very unhappy. And for the very first time in 24 years, I'm very unhappy. So I'm dealing with that. Things that are going on in my faith community, all this stuff. And so when you begin to look at all those things and you begin to look at your life and the things that have impacted your life and who you are, and the things that continue to impact you, you sometimes have those moments where your emotions just go rampant, and sometimes you have to let that happen. But what happens when it continues? What happens when it's happening on an ongoing basis, and that's when you need help? So I will tell you, I have begun to see a counselor again in my life because I have felt that I need to. And I am excited. I've seen her a couple of times now, and things are, she's helping me talk through and to visualize and to vision a new future. I think also for the first time, I have begun to think about aging and death and dying. It was interesting. And I think the COVID did that. I started thinking about, how much longer am I going to get to live? And it was just wackadoo stuff, you guys. I went into a real crazy place. So but what has happened coming out of COVID, and Dawn reminded me of this in her article, I am prioritizing my basic needs. I am prioritizing my basic needs. I am figuring out, what does Micheal'S Pope need in order to be her best self, her healthy self, as we go forward in this new reality. And I realize I need to not be around toxic people. And so how do we get to a place where we don't have toxic people in our lives? How do I not be toxic in any way, shape, or form? How do I embrace joy? And because I want to go beyond happiness. Happiness is no longer good enough for me. I want joy. And so I go moving into joy and maintaining it. How do I give, but then also put myself in a position where I can receive? So prioritizing your basic needs, I think, is something that we all need to revision. And I think we're going to have to do it on an ongoing basis, because I think this is happening to me in my life right now, because it's time for me to refocus, from refocus here so I can go out here, refocus in here so we can go out here. You know, a lot of folks that are Christians and so forth don't want to hear about chakras and everything, but there is a balance, a natural balance that a person has to have. And when you're out of balance, meaning ego, self, all these things are out of balance in wackadoo. It's just like your posture. If your posture is like this, eventually all this hurts and everything. But if your posture is like this, where your core is up and you're feeling good and your back in, and then you feel more comfortable in yourself. You actually look a taller, and your belly pops back in, your little muffin gets a little flatter. There's a reason for all of this, that they say stand up straight and, you know, all that kind of stuff. You know, all this stuff comes from a reality of balance. And so prioritize. She says, take brief mental breaks throughout the day. I'm doing that. I'm actually going for a walk while I'm here at work every single day now. I the other day, instead of driving to the bank to do the deposits, I walked to the bank to do the deposits. Now, if it's 108 degrees and 101 degrees and whatever, don't be doing that. But again, find something that will give you a break from the day-to-day, same routine things that you do, whatever it may be. I have a good friend right now that Steve, and he and his family have adopted ducks. And I just thought, oh, that's so freaking cool, right? And I thought, you need something else in your life. So when I get back and finish some church business in November and the first of the year, I'm hoping that my heart will open back up, and I will be able to let go of the grief that I still carry from losing my dear Alpha, that I will be able to open my heart to another dog or two. So all those kinds of things that, like, what brings me joy? What brings me joy definitely are dogs. And so having more dogs around me, I think it's going to be really important. Incorporate sensory soothing techniques to facilitate calm and relaxation. I finally got the Calm application on my phone. Kaiser will, I think it's a year that you can get it for free or something through your Kaiser. I'm not sure. Check it out. But Kaiser does have a benefit around Calm. And now at night, instead of turning on a documentary, I have been turning on Calm and listening, and you don't even need Calm. You can go to YouTube and get beautiful music, chimes. I'm a water person, so listening to ocean waves. And I turn that on through my Alexa speaker and walk through my house and do my evening chores and all of that. To that, instead of listening to news, you know, because I've already listened to the news all the way home. I'm also going to stop doing that because that's starting to, like, freak me out and make me feel like the world is going to hell in a handbasket and there's nothing good going on when I know there's good going on in the world. So limiting negativity is really, really important. And incorporating sensory stuff. And just like today, I left classical. Daisy likes classical music, violins. Excuse me. Residual from COVID. Daisy likes that classical music. So I left that on for her for an hour and a half. along with the fan and all those other things. Soothing sounds. White noise is soothing for a lot of people. Create and nurture supportive connections with your colleagues and friends. You are my colleagues. You are my friends. I am so happy to always join you on Friday morning. And so that fuels me and makes me feel like I have a connection. You write such great, wonderful things to me and about me that it makes me feel so good. But know that I feel that way about all of you: Stuart, Jane, Sandy, Betty, Sister T, Nancy, Eunice, all the people. Because I'm not gonna say all your names, so don't get offended. It's just because I'm not looking at it. You mean the world to me because you're my muse. You're the people that empower this eclectic personality. I found out that I'm doing the disc. I did a disc profile, and I'm a DI with a whole bunch of other things in between. So that means while I have a dominant personality, I'm also a wussy feely person. And then I have but I'll talk about disc another time. But thank you for the nurturing and supportive relationships that I have with each of you. And somebody wrote me, they said, well, you need love in your life. You need someone special to love. So I want you to know I do have someone special to love in my life. It's just that we're not in the same space. And yes, I have someone special. I have someone that loves me and that I love. It's just, it's just timing and life and all of that. So yes, I am loved. And the person was talking romantically. I am loved romantically. And so know that I'm not missing that in my life. I just am in a different space and geography. All right. We seek professional support to cope with moral distress and grief, and that's what I'm doing with the counseling and all of that. So I think that we are going through a rebirth. This is how I look at all of this, and as we close out our time together this morning, I think we're going through transformation, rebirth. The world is going through a shift. Humanity is going through a shift. The stuff that the world is dealing with as far as the ecology is shifting. Everything is shifting. And it's just like if you have, I was thinking about this the other day because my tires are, not my tires, my brakes are squeaking. So I went in and the guy said, well, no, they're fine. They're at like 70%, but there's probably dust and stuff on them. And that's what you're hearing. Okay. So he cleaned them and did whatever he did, and that went away. And what I started to realize, it's the same thing with life. It's like sometimes we get into these places where we think it's the end, it's over. And it really just means a reconfiguration of who we are and how we feel and how we're going to navigate the world, and being accepting of that reconfiguration. The copying machine reconfigures itself. The car reconfigures itself when we go in and put new things in. Just like every time I get my oil change, they have to go in and reconfigure the formulae so that it says 100%, right? So we reconfigure ourselves on an ongoing basis. But we have been doing less of that for ourselves, and caregivers, as mothers, as fathers, as humanity, we need to get into a state of reaffirmation, reconfiguration of our spirits and souls. And so I hope that all of you are out there in the Life is a Sacred Journey world, feeling a sense of hope, feeling a sense of joy, feeling a sense of wellness. And if you're not, then take time to embrace yourself. Take time to hold on tight to the inner self that's growing inside of you. And I believe that we will get through this all together. I'm thinking into the future where we will look back at this and say, remember when we were dealing with that COVID? Remember when, this or that, and it'll be in the rearview mirror of our lives. But that's not now. That's not the reality, and we're still dealing with it all. So go out this weekend. It's a long weekend. It's a long Labor Day weekend to catch up on your gardening, and be careful. It's supposed to be really, really hot. And so, close your shades down, open your windows in the morning when it's cooler, get some fresh air in, close your shades, keep the sun out, and then turn your fan on. They're asking us to be careful between, I think it's 4 and 9 p.m. because that's the time when everybody arrives home and so forth. So just be careful. Drink a lot of water. If you have air conditioning, what I usually do is turn it on in the morning, cool my house down, and then turn it off. Because I'm an asthmatic, I can't deal with it all day long anyway. So have a wonderful Labor Day weekend, and I pray that. And I have some great news that I'm dying to share with you, but we'll share it later on because I haven't asked permission to share it. But I have some great news to share with you, and I want to thank Felicia. I need to take a few minutes because Felicia is a near and dear love of I love her. And she is my daughter from another mother and my friend. And so I just want to thank you, Felicia, for everything that you do to make Life is a Sacred Journey possible, and for your friendship and for your love and for walking with me during COVID. She was another person that every day sent me, along with all of the rest of you, Nancy and Sandy and folks, but she sent me a little emoji every day just to keep my spirits up. So thank you for joining us on Life is a Sacred Journey. I am your host. I continue to be your hostess, Micheal Pope. And I hope that you come back next Friday morning. Please hit the share button. Tell other people about Life is a Sacred Journey. Go out and hug a tree early in the morning when it's cool. Pet a cat, pet a dog. Hug yourself and know that you are magnificently, wonderfully made, and you deserve joy. If you are out there and you are someone that is dealing with depression, the suicide hotline, it's 988. The 1-800-273-8255 is still working, but they have the number 988 now. That makes it easy for you to remember. Micheal hasn't remembered it yet. 988. So be good to yourself. Have a wonderful day and know that joy is a choice. Joy is a choice. Be good. Have a wonderful weekend. Be safe out there on the roads this Labor Day weekend. All of you drivers that are out there, you started yesterday driving like maniacs on the road. Remember that a car can be a weapon just as much as it can be a thing of luxury to get you from point A to point B. Slow down, take your time, get there, get where you're going, and allow others to get where they're going. Have a wonderful Labor Day weekend. Peace.